telescope is an extension of its owner that allows us to peer into the universe to see nature on the grandest scale, with wonders that boggle the imagination.
This is Galaxy Log for September of 2024 and it's subtitled September Nights. Actually, I had a couple good nights this month, and it was some really good skies for a long period of time. But I got out two nights with the 20-inch Dob. First night was September 2nd. And the first galaxy for this Galaxy Log is NGC 304 in Andromeda. Here's where the galaxy is located. It's kind of like it looks like it's in Pisces, but it's listed as being in Andromeda. So it's kind of like on the border between the two constellations. Here's a closer view from Stellarium Web of where the galaxy is located. If you're star hopping, it's fairly easy to find. There's some brighter stars around the area. And here's my near view image. NGC 304 is listed at magnitude 13, has a fairly high surface brightness, which I think it stood out pretty well. It's kind of small. Here's its type, its distance. It also has a background galaxy here. It is PGC 3302, which is about 15th magnitude. It's very small. Its distance is a little more than twice the distance than 304. For this near view image with the 20-inch f33 Dob, the eyepiece was a 3.5 millimeter, gave me 551 power. That's with the Paracord 2 in the scope. Sky conditions were very good. Seeing was pretty good. Transparency was pretty good, but not excellent. But it was still a good night to observe galaxies. So here's the near view image. 304 is an interesting galaxy. With the 20-inch, it gave this kind of like lens shape, and you can see it here in the survey image. Kind of reminded me a little bit, especially when I looked at the photograph after the following day after I observed. Kind of gave me that sombrero kind of look to it, the sombrero galaxy kind of look, and I was able to make that out. Stellar nucleus stood out pretty well, but yeah, it's an interesting little galaxy. And then kind of to the west, maybe northwest here, is a background galaxy. That's PGC 3302. And it was elongated. Little faint stellar nucleus stood out. Even though it's 15th magnitude, the 20-inch, there's no problem seeing it. That stood out pretty well. And I think even though I don't have the surface brightness listed, I think it has a fairly high surface brightness. So I think in the survey image, you can kind of make that out. But that stood out pretty well. But yeah, the pair made a fine view for with the 20-inch. Our next galaxy, we head to Cassiopeia, and the galaxy NGC 278. This galaxy is really good. This is the brightest by far and most detailed galaxy of this Galaxy Log, and in large scopes, it really does show some nice detail. Here's where the galaxy is located. It's not too far from the Andromeda Galaxy. Closer up view of where the galaxy is located from the Stellarium Web. And here's the near view image. First, look at the particulars. The bright galaxy at 10.8 magnitude has a high surface brightness, a decent size to it. There's its type. It's fairly close by. For the near view image, with the 20-inch f33 Dob, used a 6 millimeter eyepiece, gave me 321 magnification. Right away, even when I went to the galaxy using a 20 millimeter eyepiece, super wide eyepiece, the galaxy stood out really, really well in a beautiful field to it. You can see here in this nice image of the galaxy that the galaxy stands out pretty well in this beautiful field of stars. And as far as what I saw through the telescope with the 6 millimeter, uh, definitely showed some really nice structure in this galaxy. It's a compact spiral galaxy, but I think if you pump up the magnification because of its high surface brightness, and it is a bright galaxy, you can start seeing some nice detail. First thing you see is a very tiny stellar nucleus that stood out really well. Galaxy, the whole galaxy had a very mild shape to it. But then when moments of seeing really steady up, you can start seeing some structure in the galaxy, especially to the north of the nucleus area here, as an arm here, a little bit of a tightening down in this area of spiral arm, but you can really see patches, which I think you're starting to see the spiral arms in the southern part of the nucleus. But this area up in this region, the northern part of the nucleus area, um, you can start seeing a little bit more detail. But yeah, I spent some really good time, a long time observing this galaxy with this eyepiece, and like I said, waited for moments of really steady seeing, and then that's when the detail really started popping out. It can be seen in a smaller telescope. I've seen it in my 4-inch refractor, no problem. But and if you have a larger telescope, don't be afraid, especially under good skies. Don't be afraid to pump the power up a little bit because it's not a big galaxy. We can see what the size is here, but it, like I said, it is bright and has a high surface brightness, and so it can take magnification really well. In fact, it's funny when you first, if you go to first view this galaxy, especially if you're star hopping and you're using a lower magnification to find the galaxy, the first thing you'll notice, it'll kind of give you an appearance of a planetary nebula. You see, I think you have seen a planetary nebula, but it's Galaxy NGC 278. Good galaxy, great galaxy. I highly recommend this one for autumn skies.
The next night was September 8th. And the first galaxy is NGC 6745. Interesting galaxy in Lyra. Here's where the galaxy is located. So a closer up view from Stellarium Web, the location of this galaxy. And here's the near view image. First, the particulars. There's its magnitude, its surface brightness. It's small, type, and its distance. It's out there. For the near view image with a 20-inch f3.3 Dob, eyepiece was a 6.5 millimeter, just under 300 magnification. Sky conditions were very good. So for the near view image, I first located the galaxy with a 20 millimeter super wide eyepiece, and you could see this faint elongated glow with around this parallelogram of stars, of faint stars. With the 6.5 millimeter, it started bringing out some nice detail. Galaxy has this kind of fan shape, and it bows kind of to the east a little bit. And then the center, I wouldn't see so much a stellar nucleus, but a brightening like that of the nucleus of this galaxy. And then to the north, it goes to like a point, and it brightens up a little bit. And here you can see in the survey image this type of detail that's being seen. And this point goes to, is a little brighter, like huge star clouds. Then also in the survey image, you can see this faint detached part here, a little bit elongated, a little brighter towards the center. And with averted vision, I was kind of seeing it going in and out as the seeing got better. Definitely, I could see something was there. It was slightly elongated. It might be harder to pick up here in this near view image, but definitely I could see it with averted vision. At times you could see. But yeah, this is a really interesting galaxy. I like to take this scope to even a darker site and revisit this galaxy because see how much more detail I can see. But for this night, and actually it was a really nice, pretty view, and enjoyed viewing this galaxy, which I took some time viewing. The next galaxy was NGC 949 in Triangulum. Here's where the galaxy is located in the sky. Closer up view. It's fairly easy star hop if you're star hopping. I have the Nexus digital setting circles on the 20-inch. And here's the near view image. Its magnitude is a little bit brighter than 6745 at 12th magnitude. It's fairly good surface brightness, a little bit larger. It's type, and it's definitely a lot closer galaxy. For the 20-inch, for this view, it's a 4.8 millimeter eyepiece, so just a little over 400 magnification. The galaxy has this, kind of elongated long oval shape. Definitely had a lot of modeling to it. No nucleus that stood out at all. And this is actually a Hubble image right here. And you can see why it's modeled. It was looking modeled in the eyepiece. And then I noticed on this northwestern side, this patch. First, I thought maybe it was a star at the edge of the galaxy, a foreground star. But the more I looked at it, I said, no, it's got some size to it a little bit. It's more fuzzy. And so it turns out to be, the next day when I looked up the image and I saw this Hubble image like that, there's a large bright star cloud here at the edge of the galaxy, and that's what I was seeing. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, it's a nice galaxy like that. And, it's fairly bright, so it can be seen in mid-sized telescopes. Yeah, it was interesting that I could see this patch that's picked up by the Hubble Space Telescope in the eyepiece. The last view of the night. So I have an annotated view of the NGC 750, 751 area with the interacting pair here. And then another galaxy, NGC 739 to the northwest. And down to the southwest, we have another pair of galaxies, NGC 736, and a faint edge-on galaxy, NGC 740. That was an interesting view using a 7mm extra wide angle eyepiece, which gave me 275 magnification. Seeing these 5 galaxies in the field of view. Let's take away the annotated version, and there you go, of the galaxies. Really a nice way to end a really good night. And I'll come back to these views individually and maybe do each one or pair them up and for more detail with higher magnification. But yeah, it was a really neat view at the end of the night to see, a group of galaxies.
This is a summary of this galaxy log. First, talk about the dark sites and sky conditions. For the September 2nd, I was at our darkest local site, which has a really good elevation at 1,750 feet. Here from Google Earth at night is the dark site. I have it rated as a Bortle 3.5, so it's, when it's a really good night, transparency-wise, it's more closer to a 3 than it is a 4 on the Bortle scale. So I have it as a Bortle 3.5. It was a good night. Seeing was pretty good. Then the seeing conditions I had back in May when I was up there was a little bit better, but it wasn't bad. It was a pretty good night. For the second night, September 8th, a little bit closer sight, still has good elevation, 1,325 feet. It's rated as a Bortle 4 site. I think this night, even though it's not quite as dark as the previous site, I think the transparency was a little bit better. So I was able to get some really nice detail, especially later at night. And the seeing got better as the night went on because the temperature that night was dropping rapidly. For the telescope, it's the Weight Renegade 20-inch f3.3 Dob with a PowerCore 2 and a Nexus DSCs. I have on the lower left there my old telescope, which was the Astro Systems 22-inch f4.5 with a really good Swayze mirror. And I originally got that in 1998, and then sold it a couple years ago. And one of the main reasons was, and you can see in the picture of me standing next to it there, and of course standing next to the 20-inch f3.3, is going up and down on the ladder all night. And sometimes also when I was on the ladder, sometimes you wouldn't get a really comfortable position, whatever object you're looking at the sky and the way the telescope is situated and so on. Sometimes you'd be on a ladder that you might be just a little bit too low, so you have to step up one and then you're crouching like that. The other thing was, the Astro Systems telekits are really good and really good fine telescopes, but they are very bulky, heavy. And I wanted to get rid of the bulk and then also going up and down the ladder. So that's why I went with this Weight Renegade, to get my feet back on the ground. Even though I lost a couple of inches of aperture, I actually think at this point, the optics in this telescope are tremendous. Really good contrast. It was a good scene night. The images just snap right into focus, just tiny pinpoint stars, even at higher magnification. But I think because I'm in a more comfortable position, I think I'm seeing just as much as I did with the 22, which is saying a lot, because the 22 really gave me some great views over the years. But I think comfort level now at this point in my 55 years of observing, I think it's a big deal. And when you're comfortable, you're less tired. Because once I get these big scopes set up, I'm not out there for just a couple hours. I'm out there for pretty much an all-nighter. And at the end of the night, with the 22 going up and down the ladder, I started getting tired. But with this scope now, with my feet pretty much on the ground, I don't have that problem anymore. And this scope has really delivered, and it's become definitely a favorite telescope of the number of telescopes I've had over the years. As far as eyepieces, is for NGC 304, is an APM 3.5 XWA. For NGC 278 was a Teleview 6mm Delos. For NGC 6745 was the Baader 6.5 Morpheus. These are really good eyepieces, a fine line of eyepieces, really, really good eyepieces. For NGC 949 is the APM 4.8 XWA. Another really good line of eyepieces, if you're looking for those 100 degree plus eyepieces, but don't want to pay for the amount of money that the Ethos costs. These are a really good alternative, really fine eyepieces. For the NGC 750, 751 area, the last view of the night then, was the APM 7mm XWA. And that's it for this month's Galaxy Log. Clear dark skies and happy galaxy observing.